investing. All this and more right here on USALA Radio. Your voice, your radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to USALA Media. This is David Torres, your host, and you're on An Hour with Dave. Hello, everyone, again. Hello. Glad to be here again. Thank you for tuning in. Today I have two special guests and two personal friends of mine, Gary Grisafi. Think I got that right?
Grisafi, yes.
Grisafi, okay. And Chris Vogler, two very good community people, people involved in politics and people involved in community affairs and things that are going on. So I'm going to have them give a little bit about themselves and where they're at with things, and then we're going to hit a couple of topics that I want to come across that are very important. So please stay tuned. Gary.
Well, thanks for having us here, David. I'll go present to the past. Worked for Councilman Al Tabenberger for the last 4 years. I've been a ward leader for the last 8 years. I ran for office 4 times, state representative in 2002 and 4. I ran for city council in this district in 2006, special election, and 2007, and been a committee person since 1999. Been involved in the party for a long time.
Which party?
The Republican Party.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
The good guys.
Yes. The hardworking. Yes. So I've been involved. Actually, I got involved in high school, and I officially got involved in 99. Okay. So, born in this neighborhood. My family's from this neighborhood. They moved here. My grandparents moved here over 100 years ago. In fact, I just came by and saw my old friend Ducky Miller from Miller Oil, and they're still here. They grew up with my family. It was great to be back here.
Great to hear you. At least we know he's a Republican. We know he ain't kind of Bernie fan.
I assume we're going to be talking about Bernie at some point during the broadcast, David.
Go ahead, Chris.
David, thank you again. As Gary said, thank you so much for having us on. I know Gary appreciates it, and I appreciate it. I'll give you as brief a rundown as I can about my involvement in politics. You both know me well enough that, if you give me a microphone, I could be speaking for the next hour, so I'll try not to let that happen. I am currently
It says an hour with Dave, not an hour with Chris.
So I understand that. So I'll do my best to be as least wordy as I can be.
You might need a sub someday.
I got a very good producer on that booth over there that'll quickly cut your mic off.
That wouldn't be the first time. Thanks again, David. I'm currently the vice chairman of the Philadelphia Republican Party. We have 66 wards in the city. Ward leaders are elected. They vote for the leadership. I was lucky enough to be elected 2 years ago as vice chair. I've served as executive director, which runs the day-to-day operations of the party. Besides those two roles, I'm also a ward leader, as Gary is, in the 55th Ward, which is Mayfair, Tacony, Wissinoming. That's parts of northeast Philadelphia. I've done that since 2002. When I was elected in 2002, I was the youngest ward leader in the city of either party. That obviously is no longer the case, nor has been for a while. I also serve on Republican State Committee, which are elected to 4-year terms. They are elected by congressional district in Philadelphia. The counties are different. Some counties do it countywide. But I've been lucky enough to be elected and reelected by the voters since 2004. I've been involved in politics since I was a teenager. I've been a committeeman since 1992. I worked in Philadelphia City Council, first for current city councilman Brian O'Neill, who's starting his 11th term in his office, then worked in council technical staff as the budget analyst for the Council Republicans, which at the time were Brian O'Neill, Jack Kelly, and Frank Rizzo Jr.
Great. Your father was politics too, right?
Oh, he's a ward leader in the 21st Ward, state committee member. Been involved obviously longer than I have, but he's been a ward leader out in Roxborough. He worked for city council and technical staff for a time, and has been involved in running campaigns from the local level to the state level.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I know your father, and that he's a great guy, and he works hard for what he does in
Yes.
the community. And he's been always supportive to me. So a shout out to your dad, saying thank you to him. Gary, you're both running in this election for a particular position, right?
Well, we're running for delegate for the Republican National Convention. This is my second. Well, I was an alternate delegate 4 years ago. Now I'm running as a delegate.
Okay.
So-
And Chris, what does delegate do? What's that? How do they get there?
Well, I'm running also. There's in Pennsylvania because as you mentioned, David, it's not just Philadelphia that's listening, but all over the country. In Pennsylvania, from the Republican side, it's 3 delegates per congressional district get elected, and we're in the 2nd congressional district, which is entirely in the city of Philadelphia, more or less east of Broad Street. And Gary and myself are 2 of the 4 candidates running, and the top 3 vote getters will win. What a delegate does, it really depends on the circumstances. I've been a delegate the last 2 conventions, and 4 years ago in Cleveland, the first day as a delegate, our delegation in Pennsylvania spent a good part of the day on the floor arguing against rule changes that people that wanted to stop the nomination of President Trump were trying to use parliamentary tactics to more or less delay the convention. One of the votes was to try to actually having a roll call of delegates for every procedural vote, just not polling the state parties, which then would, on something procedurally, would have someone have to call out over 2,000 names to vote on something, which obviously for a vote, not even of who you'd be for president, just something technical, whether to close debate or limit debate. Those votes individually had taken a couple hours, and that was the plan by people that were against the president. After some very active discussions and loud voice votes, that did not happen. But you have other instances where this time we won't have that situation, so it'll be a different type of convention. The delegates really represent the Republican voters of that congressional district to serve in the state party in those state delegations. And
So you both would be actually running for delegates in my territory.
Yes.
Because, as you both know, everybody knows I'm running in the 2nd congressional district.
Well, David, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know Gary. I know Gary and I are voting for you for Congress. Come in about 6 weeks. Now, you had us on the show, so I don't want to put you on the spot for an endorsement. But I'm sure in the commercial break, Gary and myself might be asking you about that a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, you can do a lot worse. Trust me, these 2 guys know that what they're doing. They're confident. They stand up for what they believe in, and you're not going to get any second games going on with these guys. They're going to be there. They're going to be there for the party. They're going to be there for the people. And once they're also there, they don't look at you what party you're coming from when you actually ask them for help, which is what's supposed to happen. People get into office, you're supposed to help everyone. Doesn't happen all the time, but, we're going to do what we can.
Yeah, I agree. Working for Councilman Taubenberger, most of our phone calls were for Democrats. And I didn't hang up on them. I helped them. And
Right.
that's what we do. We help people regardless of party affiliation.
Well, Councilman Thornburg was a great man. I mean, he is a great man. He hasn't passed away. Let's not go that far. And let's make sure everybody knows. And I'm kind of expecting a lot of future things from him. I'm trying to get him on my show, see what
I'm sure he will.
what he does. He's a great guy. I love to spend time with him, and wisdom beyond what you need.
Just to piggyback on what Gary said, and in total agreement, David, I mean, first of all, if we just helped people by party affiliation in the city, it might be a little quiet for us. We obviously have difficulties. We are outnumbered citywide pretty harshly. Some neighborhoods more than others. But our job, besides working in politics, the reason we're working in politics, we're all, as you said, we're neighborhood people. We want better things for us, our families, our neighbors, and the city as a whole. All 3 of us being lifelong City of Philadelphia residents and seeing what has happened and what continues to happen. I feel that my role is to show people there is another way. That if you're not happy with what's going on, not just about your trash collection, not just about police response times. And we're going to get into things about safe injection sites where the city doesn't even have the courtesy to let the neighborhood know and try to hide it. I feel my job is, and our job is in this city, is to show there is a different direction, especially at the local level. But then when we talk at the state level, as a response to Governor Wolf and some of his really liberal policies, to the national level and things that the president has said and done that really are very, very different from past presidents of both parties.
Well, not only different, because I'm one that and if you both know me for a while now, and you know that sometimes I say things that doesn't keep everybody happy, but I call it the way I call it, and like I've always said, I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an Independent. If you're, I almost said something that I may not get in trouble over the radio, but if you don't do what you have to do, I call you to the carpet. I don't care what you are.
And that's what we should do if we're in this for if not us per se, but anyone's in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, because when you're in office, I believe that you have to be responsible for the entire community, not for one particular half site or whatever, And I really believe that, Al was a perfect example of that. Didn't matter who you were. I walked the streets, and Al was at basketball games in our neighborhoods. He was at community events in our neighborhood. There was nothing that man didn't do.
Which would probably explain why he's always a half hour late for we had to be somewhere.
No comment.
I don't say that in a negative way at all.
Either that or whoever was driving him around.
Well,
and I wasn't the driver. Al has a big heart. He has a big heart, and sometimes being a nice guy, people, pay the consequences of that. And politics is local. I tell people, don't look at Washington. Look at your neighborhood. Look at local politics. That's where you can get really things done in your neighborhood. You can't rely on Washington or Harrisburg to get things done in your neighborhood. Elect the right people who live in the neighborhood who care.
Yeah, and I always say, elect the person, not the party.
Right.
But we're gonna keep that chain of thought going. That leads us into where we're gonna talk about voters' responsibility, what's going on in some of the things locally in this community. I want to come back and grab where both of you feel about these safe injection sites, what's happening in our schools, and what's...
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, and she convinced me to continue my education. No one receives a diploma alone. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. And again, you're with David Torres, and you're on an hour with Dave. And I have two of my good friends here, Gary
Grisafi.
I'm going to get his name right by the time I leave my show. And Chris Vogler, of course. And we kind of left it on note. But do you know that there's an issue on the table right now with the safe injection sites?
Yes.
And what do you guys feel about that?
Well, I'll start with my personal opinion. nothing's safe about heroin, and it's laced with fentanyl, which is deadly. And it's so bad. I have a personal story, which is, I don't want to talk about it, but I had personal friends and coworkers that were brutally murdered. They broke into their home, this one person in Churchville, murdered them brutally. Took the car and their stuff in the house and sold it and got drugs and heroin, shot himself up and died of an overdose.
Wow.
The guy needed money, he needed drugs. So the safe injection sites will bring possible crime to this neighborhood. They're not supplying the heroin. They have to go buy it themselves. So where are they going to get the money to buy the heroin? What are they going to do? That's just one side of it.
Well, and I don't believe in. I personally, I appall the idea of safe injection sites. I do not want to see the generation, 2-3 generations from now, people thinking that using heroin and shooting heroin up or speedballing or whatever they got to do is actually a norm. It's a dangerous situation we're getting into. You know, we have problems in Kensington area. We have problems, and it's everywhere around. And forget just the visible part of it, because you got to think about what actually happens. You know, they are people who prescriptions give them an issue. They go from prescription opiates into heroin, you know, and then it affects the family and it affects the wife and the kids and the school. And yeah, it's just, I don't know where Mayor Kenny's brains are at, but I would love to sit with him for about 5 minutes to see if there's anything clicking there.
You have to have him to sit on him.
You know, I mean, this is, and city council, I can't, I don't know. I hope you guys are listening to me, and Mayor Kenny, I hope you're listening to me, but I think you're a joke when it comes to this, personally.
It's David, it's very interesting that you mentioned city council. Mayor Kenny's full bore going to do this, and how it's been done has been reprehensible. You're going to try to sneak in a facility, which all three of us agree, safe injection sites. We can talk about the societal problems and the opioid problem, which is an epidemic, which is awful. But to have a solution to then allow people to use an illegal drug and say it's legal, that does not solve a problem.
No, it does not.
That's not being, quote unquote, compassionate to people that are addicted to deadly drugs. That is not. That might be the easy thing to say. Oh, well, you know, we're trying to help. No, you're not trying to help.
No.
You're enabling something that will kill people and has killed people and is killing hundreds of people in this city.
And not only city,
yes,
across the country.
Absolutely.
And it lures, and that plays a role in what's happening in the border, because that becomes a lure to the drugs coming over the border.
Absolutely.
The heroin and the fentanyl coming over the border. You know, that gets to be a whole hour show that I have to come on later on for, just that issue.
And if I can talk very quickly, I mentioned at city council. They do this, they tell the neighborhood, we're going to have a community meeting in the next couple weeks. After it's open, that's not good government or fair government. It's awful government. It's disgusting government. Doesn't represent the people. And some of the same city council members that talked about potentially being in favor of safe injection sites, now they're all up in arms because they weren't consulted. So you're talking about a city government with one hand, or they say they weren't consulted. I'm going to take these people at their word, especially Council President Clark, because he's now talking about not having them at all in the city if they can do something about it. The best case scenario is that's a city government where one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. At the worst case, it's incompetent or a combination of both. And that is not the way to be with two neighborhoods.
Personally, I think, and we're going to get into more issues here, but personally, I think, don't tell me city council didn't know this was going on. Well, it's to me, don't even play that game with me. You know what we're doing. The only thing is that now people are noticing that they're getting up in uproar, and you're deciding, I'm going to tell the community that I didn't know nothing about it.
I'll take people at their word. But David, it really, really stretches credibility. I'm not going to disagree with your statement at all.
See, the city has two sets of rules. To do anything in this city, whether open up a business or have zoning for changing a duplex into a triplex, you need to go through all the RCCs, go through zoning and city council, the approval. Why aren't they doing that here? Why wasn't the community involved beforehand?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It's a good question. Why? And the other thing is, I want Mayor Kenny to come here and explain to me, and we could do this on a one-on-one. You come in here and explain, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell Mayor Kenny, I hope you're listening to me, because if you think that you're jumping from mayor to governor with the stunts that you've been pulling off, I'll sit in front of City Hall with a bullhorn, except for my Thursday show, and blast everything you're doing wrong. Because it's a joke what you're doing. 50-somewhat years of this city run by the Democratic Party. And what did they give us? Safe injection sites.
Yeah.
Really? Why couldn't Mayor Kenny have that safe injection site in his private bathroom at City Hall? Why not take one of the council people's offices that might have gotten indicted?
There's plenty of room in City Hall.
Yeah, and go in there and use the safe injection site there.
And if this is such a good idea that the mayor claims and other people claim, like former Governor Rendell, why are you going to jam a site down the throat of a community without even informing them before they knew it was coming?
Yeah.
If it's such a good idea, if this is a solving, if he thinks this is the solution to a problem, then why are you rushing it in a neighborhood without giving the neighbors any say? Yeah. It's that great.
Yeah.
Stand outside and talk to all the residents. Have multiple meetings to explain why you think this will help not just that neighborhood, but help this problem.
Right. Well, there's no way that this is helping anything.
No.
At all. You're enabling, because you can't. If you're telling me that you are putting these safe sites up, and then on top of it, you're telling them to go buy the drugs. So that's telling me that you're not going to stop the drug dealing in this city, because you know they got to go buy it, right. unless your 5-year plan is to now provide, along with the clean needles, you're going to provide the drugs.
Right. It's illegal. It's illegal
Right.
to sell it and even use it.
Yeah, but you're telling them to go buy it,
right,
and come
and
back,
use it.
and we got you.
And they're not going to a local pharmacy and buying it.
No, you're not
you
going
have
to
you have
Rite
it you
Aids.
have addicted people that in many types of cases are homeless. They're doing anything and everything they can to get that money for that fix. That doesn't help them or come close to solving the problem.
And are they going to test the heroin, see what it's laced with, see how much fentanyl's in it? Is the government going to jump in?
Yeah,
the city government?
Don't give them any ideas.
Oh, I mean, it's dangerous. That fentanyl is dangerous.
Yeah,
People don't know what that is.
Listen. You could figure out what they're doing when they put this program together. Now, let's see how much they can try to clean it up. But this is where we need to say one specific thing. Election time. When the city comes in and your city council person is up for election, you need to ask them, how did you vote? And did you know? There's no way that your city council person did not know these sites are here to be opened. There's no way. They sat behind closed doors and they discussed this. There's no way. Because if that's the case, that you did not know and you were not aware, then why are you working in city council? Because your job was to protect your community. So don't tell me that you didn't know. Hand that to the next guy. Let's face it. They're telling you they didn't know. They put this out and I didn't know. Or I didn't vote. That's a bunch of crap. You knew you had to know. And your job is to protect your community. And you're not doing it. So when you're out there and when it's time for all your city council people to be voted in again, Think about it. If your neighbor has gotten to the point where you're having a safe injection site and that person's been there for 15, 20 years in that office, 5, 10 elections, periods in that office, they need to ask you what's their job, because they obviously ain't looking out for you.
And I'm glad you mentioned this, because since you are running for Congress, David, this no. We have an appointed U.S. attorney, Bill McSwain, who's the only law enforcement, because we have a disgusting district attorney, Larry Krasner. He's the only person trying to stop this. And you're going to hear potentially some people at the national level that are running for president. Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, wants to legalize all drugs. But you laugh. I chuckle about it because it is what it is.
We need to ask Pete what's he smoking.
Well, I think you're going to bring it up next segment, David, or but no, that's going to it's fast becoming a federal question too. Yeah, because
you got
heroin. We can talk about marijuana, yay, nay. Heroin.
When does Bernie want to run out? Bernie said the same thing on the second 2 debates ago, right? The minute he becomes president, he's legalizing marijuana, and I forget what else, for the entire country. Okay. So now if we don't produce the marijuana ourselves, all right, so I guess that's coming over the border too? Think about it. I mean, it's unbelievable, the stuff that these people are doing. So everybody, Saturday, there will be a protest going on. And if you're hearing me, talk to your pastors, talk to your community leaders, because guess what's coming to a neighborhood near you? It ain't a McDonald's. It ain't a White Castle. It ain't a Walmart. It's your neighborhood shooting gallery. And that's what's the safe house. That's exactly what they're giving you. That's what's coming to a neighborhood near you. And you need to get up, open up your windows, scream, come out on Saturday and scream that these city council people can no longer do this. They've been lying to you for more than 50 years, and it's time for us to take the community back. And we're going to talk about some of the other issues that I wanted to bring up with you two gentlemen after the next break. Thank you.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps. Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And this has been an interesting half of the show already. And again, I'm with Gary, and I'm not going to try this again.
Grisafi.
And Chris Vogler. And just to close off what we were doing in the last segment, the time?
Yeah, the protest for the safe injection site, which is ironically called Safe House, will be at Broad McKean in South Philly. Anybody that knows Philadelphia knows it's pretty much where Passyunk Avenue also hits Broad Street. And that's going to be at 12 noon on this Saturday.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
And then one thing I want to add, unfortunately, since we just had a city council election, we have to wait 4 years. We do have a state representative election and state senate election who could have a big voice in this problem we're having in South Philly.
Not
I mean,
only
they
a
have to
problem.
have a voice, and they could get things done too. They could have a strong voice for us, for the people.
Well, and I know that we have good candidates on the Republican ticket because you have Drew Murray, and everybody's aware of Drew because he has a show here also on Ursula Media. Let's put a prop in for us. And we have Aaron Bashir.
Right.
And we have, who else we got? We got a couple people in South Philly.
Yeah, we have Joe Nungasser in
Yeah.
in 177 in my ward and parts of Port Richmond and Bridesburg.
Right.
Very impressive young man.
So I urge everybody to kind of like, this election is really important. If you could sit there and look at all the candidates and where they stand, it would be a really, really good thing to do. And I just urge you to please look at the person, not the party. It's important.
Don't we have somebody running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional also? I
I
think he has a show here too. So you gave Drew a plug. I'll give you a plug there, Dave.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, guys. So one of the other issues that's concerning heavy with the city is, the school system. What's going on here with the school system? I mean,
how can you?
Are you for
school
choice?
Actually, school choice was one of the reasons I ran for delegate 8 years and 4 years ago.
How about you, Gary?
I
What's
am
your-
for school choice.
Okay.
You got to give the parents the choice where they send their kids.
Right. Well, I like school choice. I'm a product of of the public school system. I don't know if I want to say that's good or bad, but I am a product of the public school system. I believe that the public school system does have a role. I think that it's run amok, and if somebody could actually get their hands around it and support the teachers and support the union itself and support what's going on. Public schools have a big role. I mean, years and years ago, I remember that they emphasized in the fact that not everybody's college material. Okay, but you had wood shop and you had mechanic shop and you had home economics and there was a lot of things going on that you just don't have in the public school systems anymore.
But the problem is that you haven't had that for decades in most of major cities, especially Philadelphia. I mean, you have the birthplace of liberty that has a public school system that for decades. For one, some days if you get different amounts of, they can't even tell you how many thousand kids they have enrolled on a given day. That's the first problem. That's a huge problem. If you can't say how many children that you are supposed to take care of specifically, that leads to everything else. But it's just something that you've had decades of failure. And now that you have charter schools, and I hope to go into school choice, parents that can't afford to send their children somewhere else, we all know it. We get requests. Families climb all over themselves to apply to get into their children in charter schools. Why? Because unfortunately, the regular Philadelphia school system generally has failed. And that's just something that has to be addressed. And I think, David, as you said, and Gary, as you said, we have to have all the options on the table.
Yeah.
Because I believe, in the long run, competition in pretty much anything, if it's a fair competition, rising tide lifts all boats, famous saying. You just can't keep doing something that's been failure. And now you have people that are attacking charter schools because they're draining the resources, supposedly, of the public school system in Philadelphia, which has failed for decades. So you're attacking the few rays of light or hope for children that don't have the opportunity to have the money to go where they would like, and you're attacking that. I think that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you, Gary, you had
I was
something
going to
say.
add what you said: trades, teaching the trades, and including music, because I'm a music teacher. But the trades, you had these kids trained in the trades of Philadelphia. This way, all the work that's being done in Philadelphia, they don't have to go outsource it outside this city because the people in the city are not qualified to do that trade. I mean, a steam fitter, they make great money. Electricians, great money. There's a lot of construction going on in the city. And we got to hire within, but they're not qualified. They're not ready. We got to get kids ready for these jobs that pay well.
Well, and let me tell you, you know, when you get mechanics that are specialists for BMW or a mechanic that does the planes, these guys make good money. Don't think about mechanics and think about, you know, they get their hands dirty and they're guys that don't do nothing much. And no, you know, when you think about you're driving a 2-ton vehicle and you just left the mechanic, and that man is reassuring that when you step on that brake, you're able to stop that 2-ton vehicle. Well, guess what? He's not no slouch. He's what's called a professional mechanic. You know, so there's nothing wrong. And think about it. You know, okay, you have people. Okay, you can run for president, you can run for stuff, but if you don't know how to unclog a pipe or something's clogged up in the street, you got a problem. And that's a plumber, a professional individual to come out and help you clear your problem up. So there's nothing wrong with trades. And to get back again with the public school system, listen, I believe that the public school system, nobody becomes, and I'm glad that he said he was a teacher, so I knew I was going up the right end of what I wanted to say. But nobody to me becomes a teacher to get rich. Just doesn't happen. You know, they got their heart set on what they want to do, and they want to help mold the minds of the future, because we don't know what child is going to be in parochial school, the 3rd grade or 9th grade, who's going to be the next scientist, who's going to be the next, you know, civil service person, who's going to be the next president. You know, you don't know. Nobody knows. But you got the opportunity to look at individuals and guide them. But you can also know that when you see an individual and his or her skills show, wow, she's, you know, he or she is more interested in building engines or building buildings. You know, so why am I going to push this person to do college?
Right. Not everyone's that handle college.
Yeah.
They're not cut out to be a college student.
And college is a whole different story nowadays that I want to get into, boy. Woo! You know, I mean, that's a joke, some of the colleges and what they're doing here. But, you know, what do you think about how do you think we can bring everybody together again? Don't you think we should be able to sit down and bring people together? Don't attack the school system. I think that school choice is important. I believe in school choice. But we have a limit on them seats. And school and these charter schools are good, but do they have the trainings that we're talking about? No. They don't have mechanics. They don't have that I know of. Do you?
No, but at least charter schools the start of a process, that there's some hope.
But we could take what's working with the charter schools and find out what's not working for the same things in the private schools. I mean, public schools, and that should be a common ground to look at, because we know what's missing. Now, how do we approach it?
Well, you mentioned about civility, and it's interesting that it's a great topic. That just because we in this room are on the show are for school choice, then the response a lot of times is, "You're out to destroy public education." No, that is not true. Why would I or Gary or you want to do that? But it gets back into the discourse that many times, and I find this a lot with the left. They talk about civility. They talking about problems. If you bring up something that some people don't like, then right away you're something. You're trying to destroy something, or you are against something. And that is a huge problem in our political discourse all across the board now. And I think large part of it is that because you don't agree with somebody's views, then you demonize the other person. And my experience in politics, I'm sure there'll be my friends on the other side that might disagree. I find it more and more that if you pronounce a conservative opinion or take what we talked about last segment about safe injection sites. Oh, you don't want to help those people. First of all, you're saying those people. That's not what we're saying. But just because you have a different view about something, you're either heartless or out to destroy something. And that's not true. And that just deflects from the actual problems that you're trying to have some middle ground, if you can, and trying to work on.
No, well, because, I would love them to tell me that I don't want to help those people, because then I'll tell them you're wrong, because first of all, I was the director for Horizon House, and I dealt with the drug and alcohol issues. I did the outreach program. So, yeah, you could try to bark up that tree with me all you want. It's not going to help you. But, you're right. But I go back to my chain of thought is you need an overseer. There's got to be somewhere where you sit at a table and you bring the parochial school people in and you see their agenda, and you bring the private charter schools in, you see their agenda, and somehow we got to marry these two together to figure out what's working from both ends. And first of all, what's missing? And that should be, somebody needs to sit down and say, okay, what are the things we need? We need to prep people for schools, for higher education. We need to prep people for trades. And when I'm talking about trades, remember, times are changing. So you got computer techs, you got people to repair your phones, you got programmers, and you got these are people who not gonna have a PhD, but if you don't have them, you're not gonna be able to run your phone. You're not gonna be able to run your app. Your computer's gonna be an issue, because as we're talking, this year is leaving us behind. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love when my grandkids come over, because I get to handle my phone and say, this is not working.
Well, I'm going to have to wait. My grandsons are 6 months and 2 years old.
Oh, when they come on,
give them a year.
When they're ready, you're going to say driving, and they're going to say driving. What are you talking about? I get in my car and I tell them where to go.
Well, I have my daughter for that, but I can only do that the time she's home from college. So.
Yeah, well, when she comes back, she probably say, "Oh man, I gotta go fix Daddy's phone again." Here comes the computer. But I mean, think about it. When the first computer came out, it was bigger than the size of this room.
Yes, and it was very slow.
Yeah, and I enjoy a game of chess. Right, I remember when the first chess game came out. You're playing with a little computer. Now I'd be afraid to look at a chess game. We're gonna take another break, guys, and then we're gonna come back into another topic that I want to hit these guys with and see where their mindset's at. Okay, so hang in there for a little commercial for us, guys.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back. And again, I have two of my very good friends here.
Gary Grisafi.
And Chris Vogler.
Okay, and they're laughing with me because I have a problem with Gary's last name, and I think maybe that's part of my being part of the public school system. I don't know.
No.
But I never get your name wrong, Chris.
That's why I'm going to have no comment. Just keep going, David. You're great.
You can call me G.
G?
Gary Guitar.
Okay. All right, well, you see, there you go. He made it easier for me. But I want to switch switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about the last couple of debates. What's not to talk about with the last couple of debates?
Since I haven't been watching it, I think I put it on for 3 minutes. And I heard my wife screaming upstairs. What are you screaming at? I mean, it's all I did was so I turned it off. I put the flyers on. I had too much of it. It's just too much BS.
Oh, come on. That makes it a good Saturday Night Live.
Well, yeah, but I was in Saturday night.
Gary, now we're gonna have some disagreement because I disagree with you.
That's okay.
I watched the last 2 debates. They're scary in a way. They were hilarious in many parts. The last debate, at one point, 6 of the 7 candidates on stage were all yelling at the same time, along with both moderators. I said, this is a Saturday Live skit, but they wouldn't do it because unless it was a Republican debate, that was that ridiculous.
Right. Well, I did see the highlights and the lowlights from Fox.
There were a lot of both.
Oh no! This have been doozies. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. 2016, I believe they stole it from Bernie. That's my belief.
I would agree. I agree.
Okay, I believe they stole it from Bernie. Everybody knows what happened with DNC at that point. I mean, if you didn't see it, Ray Charles could have seen it. Let's be real. All right, you could see that coming. They stole it then. I believe they're gonna try to steal it again with him. The man's is on a movement. You're gonna feel his burn coming in, like they say. But I really think that when you look at the candidates that we have, and let's take a step back for a minute. Bernie, socialist. Okay. Vice President Biden. The guy can't get a sentence right. Okay, and he forgets, and some of the stories that this guy comes up with. Woo!
I met the vice president.
It's scary.
And people I know that met him. He's a nice person, politics aside. This is not good. The last debate, I mean, he more or less called Bernie Sanders a murderer for what happened at the Mass Union in Charleston, saying, Bernie didn't buy the gun for those 9 people, but Bernie Sanders is many things. He's not like an accomplice to murder. It's just actually very sad watching, in my opinion, Joe Biden right now, because the night before, as you said, he's at a dinner announcing he's running for the U.S. Senate. It's just not. It's sad.
And you know what? And I had a lot of respect for him because he's been there for a long time. And that's another pet peeve of mine. I really believe that we have to start having term limits with some of these cats. That's really what it needs to happen at this point. But whenever Biden got into jams that I've been watching, he automatically runs back into me and Barack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Barack Obama was there for 8 years. I didn't agree with a lot of his policies. Like I don't agree with everything that Trump wants to say, but at least I respected the man for the position, which we don't get now with Trump, and that's ridiculous.
That's a whole segment.
That doesn't happen. But whenever I don't want to hear Biden run back into when what me and Obama did and what Obama did and what did, you're running for the presidency. You're stepping up to the plate. You're swinging the bat. You can't wait for somebody else to make it hit. So you need to tell us why that experience is catapulting you to the next step that you're going to, and what are you going to do to make things better?
Well, the problem with Joe Biden, and it gets into the other candidates, is because he can't. Because when they're not yelling at each other, everything else is, every single thing Donald Trump has done and said is wrong. And we're running to reverse every single thing he has ever done. I mean, to Bernie's credit, he sort of tells you what he's about, which is scary in a number of ways. But, when he sounds like a character of himself half the time, so that you can at least laugh about it in a way. But It's all going back to anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. Joe Biden, if you put him on the spot and he's been asked, what are you going to do? It's running backwards. Well, I did this, I did this. Well, no, get out of the time machine. It's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's what you need to do. And I don't think any of the candidates besides Sanders really express.
Well, let me tell you.
I don't believe me. He's scary.
You know what? I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate in this one.
Okay.
Out of all the people there, now I take Elizabeth out because she, to me, Elizabeth, Bernie, Vice President Biden, and Buttigieg. Forget. What's his name from New York? The rich cat.
Bloomfield?
Bloomberg.
I put all those in one category, and I'm gonna tell you.
Can I say you got rid of everybody else? Amy Klobuchar, who probably I think
to me
was probably going to be the vice presidential candidate. I would think if they offer it to her.
And I'm gonna tell you, out of all the people that are on that stage, when she gets a chance to speak, she's the only one that makes a little sense of what's going on. It's a shame.
Unless
you ask who the
unless Pete Buttigieg talks before her, because the two of them, the debate in Nevada, in Las Vegas, I literally think if the two of them, if it could be like a murder mystery and the lights go out and hear like gunshots and the lights go back on, both of them would be dead because they would have shot each other. Being involved in politics, you see sometimes it gets personal. It really, in many ways, looks personal between those two.
I mean, that's
like
my opinion. If you want to have half a shot at beating Trump, she should be the candidate. Half a shot.
Well,
I'm not saying that she could win, but I'm saying half a shot. Because
I don't think anyone's going to win. But the reason why Bernie is going to be cut out from the Democrat Party, because they're going to look at the Congress and Senate. They believe that he's going to hurt the Democrat Party when it comes down to this Congress and the Senate. Because of the socialist.
If they take him out, who they're going to put in?
Here's the simple math, though, because it all comes down to delegates, as we know, running on our side. Their rules are a lot different.
They got the super
They
delegates.
have super delegates can steal it after the first ballot.
Right.
Say Biden wins South Carolina. You're going to go into Super Tuesday. There's no other debate. California and Texas have, I think, between the two of them, about 700 delegates. And you have to hit 15% in a congressional district or statewide. You could have an instance where Bernie almost runs the table in California delegate-wise. Because he wins the state, and then you have, like, Biden at 14, Buttigieg at 10, Bloomberg at 12, Warren at 13. So coming out of Super Tuesday, Gary's absolutely right. They don't want Bernie, the establishment, congressmen, senators, because they're scared to death that he's going to he's going to be driving the Titanic and ram it into the iceberg.
Yeah, but remember that if you steal it from this man again, it's going to might be a worse consequences than to have him run and lose.
But if the scenario I just played out happens after Super Tuesday, it's going to be extremely hard to do it no matter what they do, because he could come out of Super Tuesday with pledged delegates, hundreds of delegates ahead, because in many places no other candidate or only one hits 15%. It could be Biden in one place, Warren. Then it wouldn't be just stealing it from Bernie at that point. It'd be like highway robbery, like at the front of City Hall. So I'm just saying.
And let me before our segment ends, who do you think would be his vice president choice before we end our segment? Personally, I think it's two people from New York. Do you know who I'm talking about? The mayor of New York.
I don't think it would be Bloomberg. I think he'd ask Hillary.
Or it's gonna be who?
Hillary.
Nah, I don't think it's gonna be Hillary.
Well, Bloomberg is the only.
Bloomberg and
Ocasio. Okay, the only Bloomberg.
AOC.
Who do you? She's been a supporter for how long? Everybody out here. Let me tell you.
I was chuckling through this last segment. You just wiped the smile off my face, even bringing that up.
Everybody, it's been great having my two guests here. Really, if you know anybody in the 2nd Congressional area that's out here, please make sure that they stand up and vote for these two cats. They're good people, and I want to support them. Thank you. God bless you. See you Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.